next decision is environmental factors which govern the living interactions. Like biotic factors are there. The term biotic is made up of two terms, like bio means living organisms and ic means like. Thus combined, they are known as living organisms. Therefore, it can also be defined all living organisms present on Earth are known as biotic components. Example: plants, animals, human beings, decomposers, yeast, insects, etc. All these biotic components interact to develop new generations, to produce new organisms, to maintain stability in the food chain. Examples of biotic factors: as biotic factors are in living form, so their examples are also in living form. Some of the examples of biotic factors are listed below. Producers. Producers are the organisms which can make their own food by photosynthetic process, like plants, algae, bacteria. They obtain their source of energy from abiotic factors like sunlight, humidity, water, etc. As all these factors are important for proper synthesis of food. Then chlorophyll present in procedure, and they absorb all these abiotic factors for synthesis of food. Part of the synthesized food is utilized by producers only for their proper functioning and growth. Then consumers. Organisms that feed on producers are known as consumers. Consumers are further divided into three or more types. Primary consumers, one who directly feeds on procedures, are primary consumers. Example: cow, goat, etc. Secondary consumers, one who feed on primary consumers are known as secondary consumers. For example, lion, tiger, etc. Environmental factors. There are different environmental factors like decomposers. Living organisms, one who break dead bodies of plants and animals, are known as decomposers. They are heterotrophic in nature. Example: fungi, bacteria, etc. Then decomposers secrete enzymes of decaying process. Due to this reason, they are known as reducers. Then detritivores. An organism who feeds on dead and decaying organisms are known as detritivores. They get the least amount of energy after feeding. Abiotic factors, non-living parts of an ecosystem, are termed as abiotic factors. They play a crucial role in shaping ecosystems, as both biotic and abiotic factors interaction is must for stability of the ecosystem. Examples of abiotic factors. Most of the common examples of abiotic factors are air, weather, water, temperature, humidity, altitude, pH, level of soil, types of soil, and more. Then water flow rate, water depth, etc. Abiotic example is an terrestrial ecosystem, aquatic ecosystem, desert ecosystem, water salinity, etc. Then energy flow in ecosystem. Energy flow from one trophic level to another trophic level is termed as energy flow, and this flow of energy is always unidirectional in nature. This means flow of energy takes place in sequential order from producer to primary consumer, then to secondary consumer, decomposer, and detritus. Due to this reason, energy cannot be reversed back. So energy flow is not never inverse, okay, only in one direction that's happening. Unidirectional, I guess. So at the end of energy flow, it gets converted into minerals and can be used again and again. Only 10% of total energy is used at each trophic level. Due to this, autotrophic organisms get the highest amount of energy in comparison to heterotrophs, decomposers, etc., as they directly feed on producers. This 10% law was given by Lundman. 10% energy is lost during each trophic level transition. Okay. Then Shelford's law of tolerance, a law stating that the abundance or distribution of an organism can be controlled by certain factors like climatic, topographic, and biological requirements of plants and animals, where levels of these exceed the maximum of minimum limits of tolerance of that organism. Here you could see a picture: abundance, population size on the y-axis. X-axis shows environmental gradient, low to high, zone of intolerance, zone of physiological stress, zone of optimum, that means minimum stress area, zone of physiological stress, then zone of intolerance. There are two zones of intolerance, two zones of physiological stress, and an optimum range or optimum zone. Okay, then this is the Shelford's law of tolerance. Then Liebig's law of the minimum in 1840. The distribution of species will be controlled by that environmental factor for which the organism has the narrowest range of tolerance. Then Liebig used the image of a barrel with unequal staves to explain how plant growth is limited by the element in shortest supply, just as the level of water in the barrel is limited by the shortest stave. Minimum. जो भी मिनरल सबसे कम अवेलेबल होगा एक प्लांट के लिए तो वो एक्ट करेगा एज द मिनिमम फैक्टर, मिनिमम लिमिटिंग फैक्टर. तो वो लिमिटिंग फैक्टर होने की वजह से ऐसा हो जाएगा कि वो ख़त्म हो गया वो मिनरल, तो प्लांट ग्रोथ में उसका इफेक्ट आ जाएगा कि वो ख़त्म हो जाएगा, तो प्लांट अच्छी तरह से ग्रो नहीं कर पाएगा. Bergmann's rule. Bergmann's rule. Geographic races of a species possessing smaller body size are found in the warmer parts of the ranges, and races of larger body size in cooler parts or warm-blooded animals, birds, mammals of cold regions are larger size than those of warmer region. Polar bear is larger than black bear of temperature region. That's called Bergmann's rule. Okay, Bergmann's rule. Bergmann's rule is an eco-geographic principle that states that within a broadly distributed taxonomic clade, populations and species of larger size are found in colder environments, and species of smaller size are found in warmer region. Then Bergmann's rule exceptions. The birds in California are an exception to Bergmann's rule. The increasing population of birds contradicts the Bergmann's rule, which states that larger animals survive in colder regions or higher altitudes. The birds of the same genus are found smaller in size in warmer climates. So the birds in California must be getting smaller in size as a result of global warming. However, according to recent research, birds in California have increased in weight and wingspan from 2 to 5% over the last 40 years, which is again kind of sort of supports this Bergmann's rule. Okay. Allen's rule, the principle holding that in a warm-blooded animal species having distinct geographic populations, limbs, ears, and other appendages of the animals living in cold climates tend to be shorter than in animals of the same species living in warm climate. Shorter and more compact body parts have less surface area than elongated ones and thus radiate less body heat. Desert fox has a largest pinna. Pinna means ear, as external ear, as compared to red fox, small pinna, and Arctic fox, smallest pinna. You can see animals in cold climates usually have a minimum of exposed surface area. Short legs, short tails, short ears. Black-tailed jackrabbit, Arctic hare, cold climate. Gray fox, Arctic fox. Look at the structure of their pinna or the external ear lobe. Jordan's, Glogger's, Wrench's rules. Jordan's rule, fish found in cold water tend to have more vertebrae than those found in warm water. Cod hatching at 4 to 8 degrees Celsius has 58 vertebrae, whereas those hatching at 10 to 11 degrees Celsius has 54 vertebrae. More vertebrae on cold water. Fish found in cold water tend to have more vertebrae than those found in warm water. That's Jordan's rule. You could see Glogger's rule and warm-blooded animals. Glogger's rule. What is Glogger's rule? The mammals, birds, and insects of warmer region, tropical region are darker and heavily pigmented than those of Arctic region, cold region, except for some organisms like Hyla, tree frog, and Peronosoma. Horned toad are dark-skinned even in low temperature. These are exceptions, but generally in mammals, birds, and insects of warmer region are darker and heavily pigmented. Then Wrench's rule. The birds of cold region tend to have relatively narrower wings than the birds found in warmer region. wingspan decreases with temperature, I guess. The birds of colder region tend to have relatively narrower wings than the birds found in warmer regions. Ecosystem function. Next topic is ecosystem function. Ecosystem functions are exchange of energy and nutrients in the food chain, productivity and energy flow, nutrient recycling, decomposition, water dynamics. Productivity is the rate of biomass production per unit area. Primary productivity, the rate at which radiant energy of the sun is converted into organic substances by the photosynthetic, chemosynthetic activities of producers. Then gross primary productivity, or GPP, the total rate of photosynthesis which include the energy used up in respiration. Net primary productivity, the storage of organic matter in the tissues of the producers that exceed the respiration. Net primary productivity, NPP, the storage of organic matter in the tissues of the producers that exceed the respiration. GPP is equal to NPP plus R. NPP is equal to GPP minus R. Okay. Net community productivity, the rate of storage of organic matter not used by heterotrophs. That is net community productivity. Secondary productivity, the rate of energy storage to consumer level. Energy flow, we could see tertiary consumers, secondary consumers, and primary consumers, primary producers. There is a significant 10% energy loss when we analyze this from bottom to top. We can see that 100% to 10% to 1% to 0.1%. 10% of energy transfer from one trophic level to the next trophic level. Then ecological pyramids, trophic structure, and to some extent trophic function can be shown grammatically by means of ecological pyramids. Ecological pyramids are generally three types. Pyramid of numbers, a geographic representation of the total number of individuals of different species belonging to each trophic level in an ecosystem. Pyramids of number are upright because numbering of organisms are decreased in successively higher trophic levels. Grassland ecosystem, some pyramid of number may be inverted, like parasitic food chain. That means one organism, that is host. There you can see many parasites on that, so it will turn into an inverted structure. Look at this pyramid of number. We could see producers, that means plants. Vegetation is always very high. Then comes herbivores, kind of limited number. Then predators, which are really of small number. Pyramid of biomass. Pyramid of biomass represent total dry weight of living being of different species at each trophic level at a particular time. Pyramid of energy and energy pyramids more accurately reflects the low thermodynamics, with loss of energy being depicted at each transfer to another trophic level. Pyramid comparison. Pyramid of numbers, pyramid of biomass, pyramid of energy. I can see population ecology. We are going to learn about that. Population density. Density, the size of the population in relation to the defined unit of space. Crude density, it is the number of biomass per unit of total space. Then ecological density, it is the number of biomass per unit of total habitat space. Crude density, it is the number or biomass per unit of total space. Crude density, it is the number of biomass per unit of total space. Then ecological density, it is the number of biomass per unit of total habitat space. And then relative abundance, it is used to denote changing, increase or decreasing population and its time related. Number of birds seen on a tree per hour. Estimating population densities, Lincoln index, a very popular way of estimating of population density by mark recapture method. X is equal to nm by n, or n capital N is equal to small m by x, where x is the number of marked individuals recaptured, n is the total number of size of the second population, m is the number of individuals marked initially, n is the total size of population. Okay, so if we interpret this equation verbally, we could see number of marked individuals recaptured. Number of marked individuals recaptured is equal to total number of the size of the second population into means multiply number of individuals marked initially, so now by total size. Number of marked individuals recaptured is equal to total number of size of the second population into number of marked individuals initially by total size. Then total size of population is equal to number of second population into number of individuals marked initially by marked individuals recaptured. That's how this should be represented. Try to carefully study this, because this is going to be a really important equation and many questions are being asked from this area. Natality and mortality. Once again, number of marked individuals recaptured is equal to total number of size of the second population into number of individuals marked initially by total size, or total size of population is equal to number of second population size into number of individuals marked initially by marked individuals recaptured. Number of marked individuals recaptured is equal to number of size of total number of size of the second population into number of individuals marked initially by total size. That's it. The natality and mortality. Natality, the birth of a new individual. Maximum natality is the maximum production of individuals when there is no ecological limiting factors. It is limited by only physiological factors. This is also called fecundity rate. Ecological natality is the increase in population under an actual existing specific condition. This is also called as fertility rate. Then mortality, death value of individuals, is more or less opposite of natality. Then minimum. Specific or potential mortality represent the theoretical minimum loss under ideal or non-limiting conditions. Then ecological realized mortality is the actual loss of individuals under given environmental condition. Vital index is equal to birth by death. Then survivorship curves. So this is also an important topic. So survivorship curves, mortality rate of a population is expressed by survivorship curves. Survivorship curves plot the number of surviving individuals to a particular age. It is generally three types. Type 1, for example, human, child, mountain, ships. Kindly gaze at the type 1 curve, how it goes. Type 1, low death rate. Many individuals live to old age, just like humans. Then type 2, where is type 2 located kind of diagonal line. Okay. Birds, mice, rabbit, deer, etc. What is the peculiarity of type 2 animals? Moderate death rate. Individuals die at all ages. Always there is some death happening in case of this type 2 diagonal line. Type 2. Then type 3, oak trees, marine invertebrates. Type 3, look at where type 3 is located. Type 3, high death rate. Many individuals die young and few live to old age. Only a few individuals live to old age. So this is how this survivorship curves work. Type 1, humans. That means many individuals live to old age. Type 2, moderate death rate. Individuals die at all ages like birds, mice, rabbit, deer, etc. Type 2. Type 3, higher death rate. Many individuals die young and few live to old age. That's it. Population dispersion, distribution, spatial distribution patterns of individuals in a population. Here you can see clumped elephants. Clumped distribution. Uniform creosote bush. Creosote bush. I don't know what it is. Kind of bush, I guess. Then random dandelions. Dandelions are random distribution. Clumped, uniform, random distribution. Age structure, the proportion of individuals in each age group. There are 3 types of age pyramids. Okay, next is about age structure. The proportion of individuals in each age group. There are 3 types of age pyramids. Rapid growth, next slow growth, then zero growth, that means decrease. Rapid growth in case of Kenya, slow growth in case of United States, and zero growth in case of Italy. So theoretical population comparison, we could see pre-reproductive ages, reproductive ages, post-reproductive ages, expanding population, stable population, diminishing population. Population dispersal, the movement of an individual or multiple individuals away from the population in which they were born to another location where they will settle and reproduce. That's population dispersal. Okay, do not affect the size of the population. It's occurring in 3 following ways: immigration. Wait a minute, this is happening within the population. That's why there is no effect in the size of the population. Immigration, one way outward movement of individuals from an area. Immigration, one way inward movement of individuals. Migration, periodic departure of unreturn individuals to the same area. This point I'm a bit confused. I hope it's because this phenomenon is happening inside this population. That's why there is no effect in the size of population. Kindly check this. Births, population increases. Immigration also lead to population increase. Then population decrease with the help of deaths and immigration. Population growth, the change in the number of individuals in a population with time. Exponential growth, some things grow at a constant rate. Money or the descendants of mating rabbits, for example, can grow faster and faster as the total number itself gets bigger. When growth becomes more rapid in relation to the growth total number, then it is exponential. Then logistic growth. Logistic growth kind of sort of means like logic applies there to this. That means logistic growth is a population increase that happen in a manner that starts slowly as there are few individuals, then increase in speed as numbers increase, but then decrease to a halt as numbers get high enough that resources are depleted and cannot support further growth. Logistic growth is represented in graph form as an S-shaped curve, S-curve. Exponential growth or J-shaped curve. A small population living in a very large and favorable environment or habitat has a growth rate that depends on 2 factors: size of the population, capacity of the population, biotic potential. Equation dn by dt is equal to Rn, where dn by dt is equal to the population growth rate, R is equal to the intrinsic rate of increase, organism's maximum capacity to reproduce, then N is equal to the population size. You can see exponential growth, J-shaped curve, dn by dt is equal to Rn, population size, time. Nt is equal to N0 ERT raised to RT. Nt is equal to N0 e raised to RT, where N1 Nt is equal to population density after time t, N0 population density at time N0, R intrinsic rate of natural increase, E is equal to the base of natural logarithm. Nt is equal to N0 e raised to RT. Am I right? Yes. Logistic growth or S-shaped curve, where carrying capacity plays a role. The geometric or exponential growth of all populations is eventually curtailed by food availability, competition for other resources, predation, disease, or some other ecological factor. If growth is limited by resources such as food, the exponential growth of the population begins to slow as competition for those resources increase. Growth of the population eventually slows nearly to zero as the population reaches the carrying capacity K for the environment. The result of an S-shaped curve of population growth is known as logistic curve. dn by dt is equal to Rn Kn by K, K minus n by K, where K is the maximum carrying capacity. You can see diminishing growth phase, stationary phase, log or exponential phases, log phase, time. dn by dt is equal to Rn. A comparison of both these graphs, dn by dt is equal to Rn K minus n by K. Exponential versus logistic growth. You can see dn by dt is equal to Rn exponential growth. Per capita growth rate R doesn't change even if population gets very large. dn by dt is equal to R max n. Population size n time t. Logistic growth. Per capita growth rate R gets smaller as population approaches its maximum size. dn by dt is equal to R max K minus n by K into n. Population size n, time. R and K selection strategies. K selection, this population associated with a steady carrying capacity. R selection, the growth capacity of exponential growth rate. You can see R selection and K selection, this table is very, very important. Kindly pay attention to this and learn this. Environment, variable and unpredictable, uncertain in case of R selection. Mortality, density independent. Survivorship, type 3, that means a greater amount of individuals die during the early stages. Population size, variable in time. R selection is the case of other animals other than humans, remember like that. So environment is variable and unpredictable in their case, so they need to reproduce quickly or otherwise they might die. So the reproductive capacity is very much determined on their number of children, I guess. So a greater amount of offsprings are required by them, not like K selection species which are humans, because their parental care is also involved. K selection individuals need a great amount of time to provide for their children or offspring, so number of children will be less in case of K selection. So in case of R selection, environment is variable and unpredictable. Uncertainty, a greater amount of uncertainty is there. In case of R selection, mortality is density independent. Mortality is density independent. Survivorship type 3, population size variable in time, usually well below carrying capacity. Selection favors rapid development, high rate of increase, early reproduction, small body size, similarity, single reproduction. Many offsprings, small offsprings, low level of social organization, lifespan short, usually less than a year. Successional state, early successional state leads to high productivity. High productivity is there. But in case of K selection, remember humans, environment fairly constant or predictable, more certain environment is there. Kind of sort of stable environment is there. Then density dependent mortality. Type 1 and type 2 both come under this category. Type 1 means humans. Type 2, I hope, fishes. Yeah. Alright, wait a minute. I got a bit carried away. Yeah, type 1 means humans. Type 2 means birds, mice, rabbit, deer, etc. I'm sorry, type 3 means fishes. Type 1 means humans, type 2 means rabbit, deer, mice, etc. Type 3 means marine invertebrates, oak trees.